This is Matt, co-founder of Metafide, calling in today for a live supercharged event. I'm just here by myself today. Yeti is away in Bali, enjoying himself right now and his family, which is awesome. We really appreciate family time on the team. Besides doing your work, that's one of the most important things to pay attention to. So good to see everyone out there today. Unfortunately, Bitcoin is still hanging around that $62,000 mark, but things could be looking better in the near future. I know we got a bunch of IPOs coming up that's getting everyone excited. Hopefully these IPOs don't end up looking like a crypto chart and they end up just rug pulling everyone afterwards. I know people are extremely excited about SpaceX, IPOing. We have, news of OpenAI trying to IPO and Anthropic trying to IPO with Claude. And I think it's going to be really interesting next couple of months. I'm not really sure, though, if I believe in the AI IPOs. And, one of the main reasons is that I think it's hard to create a defensible moat in the future. I think Sam Altman kind of had the right idea in the beginning. He had some of the smartest minds in the world with him at Y Combinator, and they decided to make OpenAI originally a nonprofit foundation. And I think the reason they decided to make it a nonprofit foundation is because, they knew you can't really create a moat around AI. It's going to be an open source technology at some point. You already have YouTubers out there like PewDiePie, who was making those Slenderman videos back in the day. He decided to go out there and create his own AI, maybe using about 10 different GPU chips. And he was successfully able to create an AI that benchmark tests better than some of the top models out there today. And I think that proved a really important point that some of these models aren't as defensible as people think. And eventually you'll have people who are going to, reverse engineer them, open source them, and make those so they can be free out into the public. And eventually, NVIDIA will continue to increase, their scope in the market. And they'll move into more things like laptops where they're providing these small GPU chips that can basically be put into a laptop and provide a fair enough amount of power where you could run some of these models localized on your machine at home. And, when that does start to occur, people are going to want to do that because token cost is very expensive right now, and it's a good way to save people money. And it's also a great way to keep your data private and be able to train your own models and have things that do very specific tasks for the type of work that you're trying to get done. So I'm very excited to see that future unfold. But at the same time, I think a lot of these AI companies are going to end up going to zero because, they can't create a defensible moat. But we'll see how that turns out. Maybe they'll move into something else that's profitable. I know OpenAI has talked about moving into robotics, but, we'll have to see whatever happens over there. But really good to see everyone. We got a bunch of players in our game today, which is nice to see. We got the supercharged board. It's all charged up right now. We got Poppy over here. We got Pieter, Miracle, Jim, Keenanai, Vinweb, Sparrow, and Blockchain Bane in the game today. Blockchain Bane is putting through some serious volume out there. So always good to see. Nice to see you, Blockchain Bane. Good work out there. Yeah, guys. So should be a pretty good day today. I'm going to be going live on the Doge OS Heist Convo. And it kicks off their second release with some of the projects that are out on their Doge OS ecosystem. And so today we're going to be talking a little bit about, predictions markets. We're going to be talking about, some of the issues in prediction markets as well. We'll talk about some positive things like our product decisions, why we decided to go a certain way, some of the lessons that we learned along the way, and what the overall mission is over here and what we're trying to do in this space. So it should be a pretty fun day. I'm excited to, get to know some of these new community members out there and have a good chat with them. So if you guys want to tune in, it'll be on the Doge OS, Twitter account. So just go on over there and you should be able to find it pretty easily. So go in there and tune in today. Really appreciate you guys doing that. So let's see. I'm not sure if there's too much other positive news in the crypto space right now. I think things have been fortunately a little bit gray right now, and I think people's minds are distracted. We got big game going on in the US. We got the NBA finals. You got the New York Knicks in there versus the Spurs. So, the crypto city of New York is all entangled in these games. I know there were some ETH events going on in the city this week as well. So there is some still events going on and some people having good conversations around crypto out there as well, which is pretty good. But yeah, I think we're kind of in a space for people maybe just trying to enjoy the summer. It doesn't seem like the DeFi summer narrative is really coming back anytime soon, and it hasn't been like that for a while. So I think people just are going to enjoy the nice weather, enjoy some time with their family. And, I think that's pretty good. It's good to do a little bit of that every once in a while. And, when crypto gets hard, don't fully tune out, but, you don't need to base your life around it. It's good to have other hobbies and passions out there because it's not always going to be good, And when it is bad, you don't really want to be thinking about it and falling into those psychological traps. You want to basically be able to hold long term and stick to that conviction. You have a certain type of strategy, a certain type of number you're trying to hit before you sell, and don't get wrapped up in the smaller things. Just think about it long term, which would be pretty good. But yeah, it's good to see everyone out there. Thanks guys for tuning in today and checking it out. I wish I had some more news for everybody. I think New York is doing all right. They have whatchamacallit with the Knicks winning last night. It was good. They didn't want to tear down the city the night before when they lost. People are pretty upset. They're beating up Spurs fans. I don't condemn any type of violence. I think that's not good. I think the best part about sports is when it brings, all these different people together and unites them underneath, one common goal. So to see everyone rioting and, taking down the city that they supposedly love, that's not really what we're looking for out there. It's very destructive. If you love the city and you love the team, take care of the things around you, treat it right is all I say. But, it doesn't seem like everyone's on the same page nowadays. Yeah, let's see. I know Claude released their newest model, Fable 5. I've been seeing some cool builds with it out there. I've definitely heard about people complaining about the token costs as well, and that things have been going up, and that they're running through their monthly subscriptions pretty shortly, which is unfortunate. They're always trying to find a way to increase those I guess usage costs out there. But hopefully there's a better solution for that. I think this AI is really useful, but again, it doesn't become useful when it costs more than the humans that were replaced by it. So everyone's, go look for some other solutions out there. I think there's some new companies making some new stuff, so go on there and check it out. But yeah, not too much going on in crypto. I know the World Cup's going on in the US. I think I called it. I was like worried about how expensive the tickets were. I heard a lot of the games at face value were like $500 and greater. And, that's not good for the fans. The people who travel around the world, they want to come to the US. They want to go see their favorite team play. They're spending $500 minimum on tickets. And then they have to, get a hotel or rent an Airbnb or rent a car, the transportation right to the game, the food at the games, everything else like that becomes very expensive. So I think they were underwhelmed by the amount of ticket sales out there this year. So hopefully those prices go down and they try to make it accessible to the common person. But again, just a little bit too expensive today. But oh yeah, life is good. Let's see. Yeah, I don't really think there's too much going on out there in crypto. So there's been some cool things with AI though. I know there's been a couple of videos circulating around where someone built that game Line Rider, where you have the bike that rides the lines, and you could do it on various companies' charts, which I think is kind of fun and cool. I definitely thought about that concept in the past. Very, very nice. I know people are still going after poly markets. That's some of the last stuff we talked about. There's been a fair amount of CFTC filings and other things like that. So we'll see if anything ends up coming out of that, or if they just continue to delay any responses until they get more CFTC members. Which again, that doesn't seem like they're incentivized to get new members right now, despite all the lawsuits and things that are kind of backing up and backing up the ability to actually get those licenses and other things like that. I've heard it could take a year to 2 years to optimistically get seen. So who really knows what's going to end up happening? I think the hyperliquid price is down a little bit again. That thing was cooking up for a while, which I think it'll return. I think it's got pretty good mechanics behind it. Unlike a lot of other coins in the space, those guys actually have a real business and they're able to burn tokens from that real business, which is pretty cool. I think it's down to around $55.57. I think those highs were like 70 cents or something like that. So it's pretty cool to see that go on. And they're catching some scammers out there. They got some influencers who are pretending to be Google and Treasure support. And they got them with $13 million of theft. So maybe those were some of the guys calling all your phones saying they were Google or Treasure. So it's good. They finally got some of those guys, and they're going to continue to get them as the technology gets better. We don't like scammers in this space. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's really it for the day. All right, guys. I'll probably end it over here. Not much to talk about today, but good to see everyone, and thanks for joining in during the game. You guys enjoy the